Jay-Z and Puffy wanted Biggie killed. Bottom line. You don't have to believe me. Believe the facts. Here's a man that wanted to leave Bad Boy. He wanted to do his own thing. He mentioned several times how he was tired of being used and abused, that he was bigger than Bad Boy itself.
Garcia said Combs himself handed him $100,000 in cash, and that later he also noticed that there was no video file or incident report in the hotel records.
Diddy's name has been whispered in connection to Biggie's tragic death for years, and now it looks like the truth is finally blowing up.
People talk in prison, people talk on the streets, people run their mouth. And if it's true, I can't say if it was too soon for him to come to LA or they came to LA because they wanted to. I was told that he wasn't ready to come to LA. I was told that Puffy pretty much made him come to LA.
The killing of Christopher Wallace, famously known as the Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie Smalls, still has no solid answers even decades later. On March 9, 1997, Biggie was gunned down in a brutal drive-by-in.
The world is numb today, stunned by the violent death of gangster rapper Notorious B.I.G. The tragedy happened here outside of the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, where the rapper, also known as Biggie Smalls, was attending a Vibe magazine party for the Soul Train Awards. Now, shortly after midnight Saturday, Notorious B.I.G. left the party and got into his car when another car rolled by and shots rang out. At least 5 bullets ripped through the door, killed B.I.G.
Ever since Biggie's murder, folks have been asking the same burning question: what really went down that night? Some even believe his own mentor Sean Diddy Combs might have had something to do with it. The streets have been buzzing with wild theories pointing fingers at rap beef's dirty cops and shady moves behind the scenes of the music biz, but despite all the talk, no one's ever gotten a straight answer. Back in the 90s, the rap game was split right down the middle, East Coast versus West Coast. Diddy was running Bad Boy Records in New York with Biggie as his #1 star. Out on the West Coast, Suge Knight was in charge of Death Row Records, repping Tupac Shakur, and these two camps, they had major issues.
We've got a number of individuals that they're speaking to right now, and we're hopeful that we can resolve this matter relatively soon.
These are pictures of the 24-year-old Biggie at the Vibe party just hours before he was killed. Eerie images of a man who had no idea of the violent fate.
Detention exploded in 1994 when Tupac got shot in New York. He blamed Diddy and Biggie straight up, even though both denied being involved. Things only got uglier in 1996 when Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up, a savage diss track aimed at Biggie. In it, he threw shots at Biggie and even claimed to have messed around with Biggie's wife, singer Faith Evans. That line crossed the line. It wasn't just about music anymore, it was straight up personal. Later that year, Tupac was gunned down in Las Vegas, and just 6 months after that, Biggie was gone too. A lot of folks believe the two killings weren't just a coincidence, they think they're connected.
When somebody's shooting at you, your first reaction is not to get a description of them, but to take cover, duck.
Biggie was killed 6 months after Tupac Shakur died in a hail of bullets in Las Vegas. Two larger-than-life hip-hop artists, Biggie from the East Coast with Bad Boy Records led by Sean Combs, and Tupac from the West Coast with Death Row Records founded by Marion Suge Knight.
At the time that Biggie Smalls was killed, Suge Knight was in the county jail. So in order for him to communicate with somebody on the street, he had to go through an intermediary, which was this female who was visiting him in jail.
On May 28, 2009, the LAPD and the FBI documented that woman's statement. Her identity is being protected. Kading says the woman worked out an agreement that nothing would be used against her.
Around that same time, the spotlight started turning toward Diddy, and not in a good way. Word on the street was that Biggie had plans to ditch Bad Boy Records and launch his own thing. That got fans asking, did he have a reason to shut him down?
This LAPD statement says, quote, during more than one of these visits, Knight instructed blank to help him coordinate the murder of Christopher Wallace.
She said that Suge told her, I want you to get a hold of Poochie and tell him that this is what I want done. So there's a series of meetings. She goes and meets with Poochie. They agree on an amount. Suge makes the arrangement for that money to get transferred. She pays Poochie, and he goes and sets himself up at the Peterson Auto Museum and shoots and kills Biggie.
Probably nervous, but at the same time, unless he was totally against Biggie, I feel his pain. And I'm not saying he's against Biggie, but I think that according to the conversations and what people say and what people tell me, I was not there. I couldn't see what happened, but for the fact that I feel bad for Puffy because this your man right there.
In 2024, things took a wild turn when Diddy's ex-bodyguard Uncle Ron Smith dropped a bombshell on TikTok. He straight up claimed that Diddy and Jay-Z were involved in Biggie's death. According to him, Biggie was getting way too powerful and was planning to leave Bad Boy, and that made Diddy feel shook.
Jay-Z wanted him out of the industry, period, so he could take over and be the biggest hip-hop artist around. And I wonder who's the biggest hip-hop artist today. It's all business, folks. And unfortunately, you as a fan, most of you won't understand. But it was all about the business. And the two billionaires of 1997, I was approached by Diddy to perform a hit on one of his artists. Finding out that he wanted all the rights to all his catalogs. I turned him down.
Uncle Ron even said Jay-Z wanted Biggie gone too.
On the night Biggie was taken out. And I'm so glad to this day that I refused to do that. So under investigations and working and cooperating with FBI, my story is being told. There's so much more that we're going to talk about with Diddy.
This bullman till now nobody's locked down hard proof linking Diddy to Biggie's murder. Even back in 2007 The Lapped did a full review and said there was no evidence tying any cops to the killing either. Ron Smith's TikTok exploded online, but legal experts say it wouldn't stand up in court. It was just his word, no solid receipts to back it up. Still, the fact remains Biggie's murder is still unsolved. The whole case is a mess of mystery, wild theories and missing pieces that don't fit. The shooter never caught. No one's ever been officially charged, but that might not last much longer with Diddy's current legal drama blowing up in court and more people, especially ex-employees, coming out the woodwork to expose him. Things could flip fast.
Look at what people do, man. You know Pac just got killed. It ain't no kind of business Big was doing. Big couldn't even walk. He couldn't run. They was pushing him around in a wheelchair, brother. Why the hell would you rent studio time in LA for him to finish your album when in fact you got your own studio, Daddy's house? Let's keep it a buck. Let's stop this bullshit, man.
Diddy, the video had folks in total shock, and then just one day later Smith was found dead. That twist lit the rumor mill on fire and made the whispers turn into full-blown suspicions.
He first molested her and tried to forcibly kiss her at his 40th birthday party. Shortly after she got hired, and then months later, her in a guest room at his home in Los Angeles. And she's been under cross-examination now for 2 days. And while a lot of the lawyers for Sean Combs have been very friendly with some of the witnesses who reluctantly testified for the government.
And if that wasn't enough, brand new testimonies are dropping, and they could be the nail in the coffin for Diddy. On March 5th, 2016, a security guard named Eddie Garcia got caught up in something that would come back to haunt him in court. He was on duty at a hotel in LA when surveillance cameras caught something wild: Diddy putting hands on his longtime girlfriend Cassandra Ventura, also known as Cassie.
Got a chance to hear from the hotel's former security supervisor earlier on today, and he testified about the $100,000 payoff that Combs made to purchase that incriminating video. Now, Combs does not deny that a transaction happened. But his attorneys say that he made the payment to avoid any negative press.
Now Garcia's taking the stand under an immunity deal, meaning he's protected from charges as long as he keeps it 100% real, and what he's saying, it's jaw-dropping. He claims Diddy went all out trying to cover up what went down with Cassie, trying to make it disappear like it never happened.
Was the chief of staff for Sean Combs, was involved in trying to arrange this deal and contacting security to try to get this footage, and that all three of them were present when this negotiation took place of the turning over of the $100,000 to this security guard. So this is detrimental to the defense. The prosecution is going again with the criminal enterprise, but also dealing with obstruction of justice, which is one of the key elements, also one of the predicate acts under the racketeering conspiracy.
At the secret meetup, Garcia was handed a stack of paperwork to sign. One doc claimed he was turning over the only copy of the footage, another was a non-disclosure agreement, but Garcia admitted in court that he didn't even read them all the way through. After the papers were signed, Diddy stepped out, then came back in holding a brown paper bag and a money counter. He started feeding thick stacks of $10,000 into the machine like it was nothing. When the counting stopped, it landed on a jaw-dropping $100,000, double what Garcia's supervisor had asked for. Garcia says he quickly realized that the extra cash was meant for him and another colleague to keep quiet, but Diddy gave him a warning: don't make any flashy purchases. Garcia told the court, I understood it as it would draw attention. In the end, Garcia handed $50,000 to his supervisor, gave $20,000 to the other guy, and pocketed $30,000 for himself, which he used to buy a used car. But even after all that hush money, the footage still leaked a year ago. CNN aired clips from the video, and to this day, nobody knows how it got out.
Courtroom was the chief of staff for Sean Combs, and we've heard her name come up multiple times throughout this trial as being the go-to person for Sean Combs, the personal handler for Sean Combs, and now from today doing the dirty work of also Sean Combs. So in terms of whether she's going to testify, that's the million-dollar question, because if she were to testify, she knows all the dirt having to deal with Sean Combs, and that would technically seal his.
Now Diddy's in deep. He's facing major federal charges, including trafficking and racketeering. Conspiracy prosecutors are painting a dark picture, saying he built a tight inner circle of bodyguards and high staff who helped him pull off a string of crimes that stretched over 20 years. The charges cover everything from bribery to obstruction of justice, and a lot of it ties right back to that explosive 2016 incident at the Intercontinental Hotel. Diddy's claiming he's innocent. He's pleaded not guilty, and his legal team is saying this was just business, nothing illegal. They're also insisting that anything sexual was totally consensual.
Brianna Bongalong. She was an upcoming designer who was in the inner circle of Combs and Ventura. And she was also a friend of Cassie Ventura's, who has accused Combs of dangling her off the balcony of Cassie Ventura's apartment from the 17th floor in Los Angeles. Now, she filed a civil lawsuit against Combs, and she alleges that Combs was yelling, "Do you know what you did?" And she said that no, she didn't know what she did. She didn't really know why Combs was so upset with her.
Diddy's lawyers admit he's got a track record of shady behavior, but they're insisting that doesn't make him some criminal mastermind pulling strings behind the scenes. This trial also dropped new info about Christina Cora, who wasn't just some assistant. She was once Diddy's chief of staff, and in his own words, his right hand. That role might have been way deeper than anyone thought. Still, one big mystery remains: how did CNN get their hands on that footage after all the cover-up? What is clear from Eddie Garcia's explosive testimony is this: Diddy was doing everything he could to keep that video hidden. He shelled out big bucks trying to make it vanish, but now that very move to cover it up could be the thing that finally brings him down. Do you think Diddy's walking free after this, or is this the end of the empire? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. See you soon.
That's right, Susan. So this hotel has since been closed, but it has certainly become a big part of the conversation since that violent video was released on Friday. As you mentioned, now we are hearing from Sean Diddy Combs himself in a selfie-style apology.
I was I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. Diddy's lawyer.
But jurors saw the raw footage again on Tuesday, and what they saw was disturbing. Diddy in nothing but a towel was caught on camera kicking Cassie Ventura near the hotel elevator. Ventura had already testified, saying she was trying to escape after Diddy hit her in the face. When CNN first aired that shocking video, Diddy dropped a public apology on social media, admitting, "My behavior on that video is inexcusable." That clip might end up being the most damaging evidence yet.